State of Decay 2 throws you right into the heart of a collapsing world where every decision matters, and survival depends on your ability to manage not just combat, but also people. The game blends third-person zombie action with community management, forcing you to juggle scavenging for supplies, fighting off hordes, and keeping your group alive, fed, and morale high. One of its biggest strengths is the dynamic world. Resources are finite, characters can die permanently, and the map evolves based on your choices, making each playthrough feel unique. The cooperative mode adds a whole new layer of fun, letting you and your friends take on the apocalypse together. Combat, while simple, has a satisfying weight to its melee and ranged mechanics, and the tension of permadeath keeps every encounter nerve-wracking. On the downside, the game struggles with technical hiccups like clunky animations, bugs, and an overall lack of polish that can pull you out of the immersion. The AI of both enemies and allies sometimes behaves unpredictably, which can be frustrating when you're trying to keep your community alive. Still, the mix of base building, exploration, and permadeath stakes makes State of Decay 2 a unique open-world zombie experience that rewards planning just as much as raw combat skill.
Taking a beating here. No more.
DayZ Remastered delivers a massive, hauntingly beautiful open world where survival meets storytelling at full throttle. You step into the boots of Deacon Saint, John, a drifter biker navigating a post-apocalyptic Oregon overrun by freakers, a fast-moving zombie horde that comes at you in terrifying numbers. One of the game's standout features is its motorcycle. It's not just transportation, it's your lifeline. You'll need to refuel it, repair it, and even upgrade it to survive long trips into the wilderness. The combat is varied and visceral, giving you freedom to go loud with shotguns and Molotovs or stealthy with traps and knives. While the dynamic weather and day-night cycle affect how enemies behave, adding tension to every mission, the game also shines in its world building, with stunning landscapes, abandoned highways, and derelict towns full of danger and loot. However, Days Gone isn't perfect. The story, while emotional, sometimes drags with repetitive missions, and the open world can feel bloated with filler tasks. Performance issues were also a common complaint on release, though the remastered version smooths much of that out. Even with those flaws, the thrill of taking down a roaring horde of hundreds of zombies with planning, fire, and grit is an unforgettable experience, making this one of the most exhilarating open-world zombie games ever made. Dying Light 2 takes the open-world zombie genre and cranks it up with parkour, brutal melee combat, and a living city that changes based on your choices. Set in a massive urban environment, the game's biggest strength is how fluidly you can move. Sprinting across rooftops, vaulting obstacles, and ziplining over undead hordes never gets old, especially when paired with first-person combat that lets you smash, slash, and improvise with a wide variety of weapons. The day and night cycle is a game-changer. During the day, zombies shamble lazily in the streets, but when the sun goes down, the infected become faster, stronger, and far more terrifying, forcing you to decide whether to hide or risk the rewards of nighttime exploration. The RPG-style choice system gives weight to your decisions, with factions rising or falling depending on your alliances, reshaping parts of the city and unlocking new tools and routes. On the downside, the story can feel uneven, with some characters not living up to the ambitious narrative, and the sheer size of the map sometimes leads to filler side quests. Performance issues at launch also soured the experience for some players. Still, the combination of thrilling parkour, creative combat, and the constant pressure of surviving in a hostile world makes Dying Light 2 one of the most adrenaline-packed zombie sandboxes ever created.
You stole from the dock.
DayZ is the definition of raw, unforgiving survival in a zombie apocalypse, where the undead aren't always your biggest threat, other players are. Dropped into a massive open world with almost nothing, you're forced to scavenge for food, water, weapons, and shelter while battling not only zombies, but hunger, thirst, and the constant risk of betrayal. Its greatest strength is the tension it creates. Every encounter with another player could mean forming a fragile alliance or getting gunned down for your supplies. The survival mechanics run deep, with injuries, diseases, and weather all impacting your journey, making every decision crucial. The open world feels bleak but immersive, with abandoned towns, forests, and military bases that make exploration both rewarding and terrifying. Where DayZ really shines is in its unpredictability. No two stories are ever the same, and the best moments come from player-driven chaos. However, the game is notoriously rough around the edges. Clunky controls, long-standing bugs, and a lack of polish frustrate many players. Its steep learning curve and slow pace can also be overwhelming for newcomers who expect constant action. Despite these flaws for those who crave an authentic, nerve-wracking survival experience where trust is rare and death is permanent, DayZ remains one of the most intense open-world zombie games ever made. Project Zomboid is the ultimate survival sandbox for players who crave realism and depth in a zombie apocalypse. Unlike flashy, action-heavy titles, this game thrives on detail. Every aspect of survival matters, from cooking and carpentry to farming and fortifying safe houses. You can choose to play solo or with friends, scavenging supplies in a huge isometric open world where every building can be looted and every choice can mean life or death. The zombies themselves aren't just cannon fodder. They're relentless, overwhelming in numbers, and will smash through windows and doors to get to you if you're careless. The game's standout strength is its complexity. Injuries must be treated properly, noise can draw hordes from far away, and skills improve the more you practice them, giving an addictive progression system. The replayability is endless, with customizable difficulty, weather, and zombie behaviors keeping each run fresh. On the downside, its steep learning curve can intimidate new players, and the graphics are simple compared to modern 3D titles, which may turn some off. It's also a game that demands patience, as death comes swiftly and permanently, often after hours of careful planning. Still, that brutal realism and the sheer number of survival mechanics make Project Zomboid one of the most immersive and rewarding open-world zombie games ever created. Dead Island 2 throws players into a sun-soaked California nightmare, where the beaches, mansions, and city streets are crawling with grotesque zombies just begging to be dismembered. Its biggest strength lies in the combat system. Every swing, slash, and smash is brutally satisfying thanks to an advanced gore engine that lets you carve zombies apart in gruesome, almost cartoonish detail. The game leans into over-the-top fun, offering a wide arsenal of melee weapons, firearms, and crafting upgrades that encourage creative carnage, whether you're frying zombies with electrified katanas or smashing skulls with a sledgehammer. The open world feels vibrant and twisted, balancing dark humor with constant danger. And the co-op mode makes tearing through hordes with friends an absolute blast. Performance is smooth, and the game doesn't take itself too seriously, delivering fast-paced action without bogging players down in survival micromanagement. That said, the game does have flaws. Mission design can feel repetitive, with fetch quests and basic objectives that don't always match the excitement of its combat. Some players also find the story shallow, relying more on style than substance. Still, when it comes to sheer zombie-slaying fun in an open world packed with spectacle, Dead Island 2 is a bloody, chaotic ride that delivers pure entertainment. Seven Days to Die blends open-world survival with crafting and tower defense in a way no other zombie game does. Dropped into a massive sandbox, you'll scavenge, mine, farm, and build while fighting off waves of undead that grow more dangerous every passing day. The real hook is in the Blood Moon mechanic. Every 7 in-game days, hordes of zombies storm your base, testing your defenses and forcing you to constantly adapt. Crafting is incredibly deep, letting you create weapons, traps, vehicles, and even electricity, giving the game a Minecraft-like sense of creativity, but with far more tension. Exploration is equally rewarding, with abandoned towns, bunkers, and wilderness areas packed with loot and danger. The co-op mode makes it even better, as you and your friends can work together to survive and design fortresses capable of withstanding the apocalypse. On the flip side, the game's biggest weakness is its rough presentation. Graphics are dated, animations can feel clunky, and bugs are not uncommon even after years of updates. Some players also find the grind overwhelming, especially if you're playing solo. Still, few zombie games offer this level of freedom, tension, and replayability, making 7 Days to Die a must-play for anyone who loves survival and base building under constant undead pressure. SCUM pushes zombie survival into hardcore simulation territory, offering one of the most complex open-world experiences you can find. At first glance, it's about surviving on a massive island filled with zombies, but the depth goes far beyond fighting the undead. The game tracks everything from your metabolism and vitamins to your stamina and body weight, forcing you to manage survival on a microscopic level. Combat is tense and varied, with firearms, melee weapons, and traps, but just as dangerous are other players who can ambush you at any moment. The island itself is huge and diverse, full of military bases, forests, towns, and hidden bunkers to explore, making scavenging always rewarding but never safe. Where SCUM shines is in its realism and customization. The survival systems are so detailed that every small decision impacts how long you live, creating a unique story each time you play. That said, this depth can also be its biggest flaw. The steep learning curve and micromanagement can overwhelm players looking for faster action. Technical issues and occasional bugs are also common complaints. Still, for gamers who want the most realistic, punishing, and unpredictable open-world zombie survival experience, SCUM offers a level of immersion that few others can match. Humanitz is a fresh take on open-world zombie survival, balancing the hardcore elements of the genre with a more approachable modern design. The game focuses on rebuilding civilization after the fall, letting you scavenge, craft, and build bases while also managing survivors who can join your community. Exploration feels rewarding, with abandoned towns, forests, and farmlands offering plenty of loot, but also constant threats from roaming hordes. The combat is fluid and satisfying, giving you access to both melee and ranged weapons while encouraging strategy and resource management to survive longer runs. Co-op is a huge strength here, making it easy to team up with friends and share the workload of gathering supplies, defending your base, and pushing into dangerous zones. Humanitz also benefits from its polished visuals and user-friendly systems, making it more accessible than hardcore titles like Project Zomboid or DayZ. On the downside, the game isn't as deep as the most complex survival sims, and its content can feel a bit limited after long play sessions, with some repetitive tasks setting in. Still, the blend of base building, exploration, and fast-paced combat makes Humanitz a great entry point for newcomers to the genre, while still offering enough challenge to keep veterans engaged. SurrounDead is a smaller-scale but highly addictive open-world zombie survival game that delivers a tense atmospheric experience. Set in a desolate, post-apocalyptic countryside, the game focuses heavily on exploration and resource management, with every bullet, can of food, or scrap of material feeling valuable. The world is unforgiving, filled with roaming undead that are slow but deadly in numbers, forcing you to stay quiet, plan your routes, and make tough choices about what to carry. One of its strongest features is the gritty atmosphere. Abandoned houses, foggy forests, and ruined towns immerse you in the bleakness of survival, making even short scavenging runs feel dangerous. The crafting and looting systems are straightforward but rewarding, giving you just enough tools to survive without overwhelming you with complexity. Co-op play enhances the tension and fun, as you and your friends can strategize to stay alive longer. On the downside, SurrounDead isn't as polished or expansive as bigger titles in the genre, and its visuals, while moody, are fairly simple. Some players may also find the gameplay loop repetitive after extended sessions. Still, for fans of open-world zombie games who enjoy a stripped-down, survival-focused experience, SurrounDead is a hidden gem worth sinking hours into.